Here is a red torus, and a green torus, and a blue torus. How are they called in plural? Torus or toruses? Neither. The plural of torus is tori. Why not simply ring-o-rings? Because there is more to it than meets the eye. We can resize a torus with the resize tool, and we note it grows larger, but the ratio between the hose or the tube here to the full diameter of the torus remains. The thickness of the tube is 1/4 of the size of the torus. Therefore, the center hole is half the diameter of the torus. Now, we change X, and we have the torus narrower. However, this part is still 1/4 of the whole diameter, and this part is 1/4 of this whole diameter. And the same is here. If we change Y, the torus is only half as high, but this part is still 1/4 of the full height, and this part is still 1/4 of the full width. Now we reduce C to 1/10, and we see no difference. There is still 1/4 of the width. But if we rotate the cylinder, we see that it has indeed changed in the set direction. When we rotate now, it looks like a tire. So when we change C, the diameter of the tube is not a circle anymore. And this is what makes the use of a torus a bit tricky. The torus has been cut in half using just a Boolean operation, and looking from above, we see the tube diameter is 1/4 of the whole torus. Now, if we set C again to 1/10, we can see what happens if we render. We notice that this diameter of the tube remained. It's only this diameter which changed. This diameter is changed here. This radius is controlled by this value here. Now for the torus, Bryce takes the default size X and Y at 20.48. 1/4 of that diameter would be 5.12, and this is the value set automatically becomes if a torus is created. The radius is half of this, 2.56. However, the radius for the torus is 100 times higher. It is not possible to enter fractions in the edit torus field, only in integers. Since they are hundreds of Bryce units, you can mentally divide the value of 256 to 2.56, and this is the radius that matches with the diameter C of 5.12. Remember, for the torus, a diameter of 20.48 is assumed. If the radius is set to 5.12, which is 512, the diameter of the hose gets to 10.24, which is half of the torus diameter. The torus will become a donut. Now we will double the diameter, and we can see that we have doubled the diameter of the hose. It is now 512, the radius, which is 5.12, which makes a diameter of 10.24, and the diameter of the whole torus is 20.48. so we can see that the hoses just meet. After having changed the radius, we check and we see that C has been automatically updated to 10.24, but C can be manually altered and we get this form. Radius controls this diameter and C controls this diameter. And in order to have this a circle, C has to be double the value of the radius divided by 100. Now we go back to 1024 and look what happens if we set this value to the maximum possible. The maximum value that can be entered is a radius of 1024. That is a radius. So the diameter would be 2048, and since this is 100 times what it actually is, that would be the diameter of the hose will get as large as the whole torus at 20.48. And this is exactly what happens. We get a sphere. The white torus is the default size with the ratio torus diameter to tube diameter increased to 16. X and Y are still 20.48. C is 1.28 because the radius is at 64. The green torus has been reduced in size to half using the resize tool. So we have it at 1024 and C at 0.64. It was 1.28 before because the radius is still 64. C had to be adjusted to 0.64 as well. It is also halved. And C was automatically halved to 0.64 when the radius was adjusted by using the resizing tool here. If you want to resize a torus, this is the way to go. For the red torus, the idea was to keep the diameter of the tube when resizing the torus. And this appears to be looking quite good. This distance, this thickness is the same thickness as this thickness, even though the torus is only half diameter as before. So it has been reduced to half its size, 1024 by 1024. However, the radius was doubled to 128, which also doubled C to 2.56. The tube is not circular anymore, though one part has the same diameter as the original white torus. This part has the same diameter as this part. However, in the Z direction, this part is now double in size. The blue torus has also been resized, but the diameter remained and it is circular, so you can see here. So we have X and Y at 1024. Radius has been adjusted as before, doubled from 64 to 128, but we have manually adjusted C also to 1.28, which is the original thickness we have here, 1.28. And as we can see in the renders, here we have a true ring, here we have a true ring, here we have a true ring, but this one is not a true ring. Well, that would be perhaps a ring you would put on a finger, but the diameter of the tube is not a circle. We can also change diameter versus C and get a narrower one instead of a thicker one. After all this talk, we go to a bit of math. The ratio tube to torus is 2048 divided by the double of the radius. the radius of the tube is 2048 divided by double of ratio. C is the radius multiplied by 2 and the result divided by 100. And looking from C, the radius is C times 100 divided by 2. To keep the diameter of the hose circular and absolute, if the torus diameter changes, we can say that the torus size ratio, its initial diameter, divided by the new diameter, gives us a value, and from this value we can calculate the radius by multiplying the radius with this new ratio, and set will stay set. I hope this helps to use the torus successfully in your project. Do not forget that this is a ratio and not an absolute value. All the rest are absolute values, and the ratio is always based on 20.48.